What up, my freaks? RuinousInsight here with part 14 of my Total Warhammer 2 modded Throgg campaign. So as we saw last time with the destruction of Nordland, we have begun to make a sort of ruin barrier against the southern provinces, southern being everybody that isn't us, basically. Unfortunately for us, both Reichland and Marienburg are now in the war, so they could approach and attack any one of these coastal settlements at any point. So we will have to be relatively vigilant. On the bright side, however, we now have a lot of extra places that we can sack, and several of them have very, very good value for very little investment. Like our now over here doesn't even have walls and it's worth 12k. So we can definitely fund another army after taking a bit of a spin around here with Throgg. So that's going pretty good. Now over here we have to decide whether to attack with Wulfric, and I feel like we've got to try. I don't know whether that's going to end up so well. We might even end up losing Wulfric's army for this. But you know, what's life without a little risk, right? And the reason that I'm thinking that once we attack Grungzint, most of this army is going to get very, very badly damaged. And then this army will go and try to clean up. Whether we can handle this army by itself afterwards or not is really the question. We'll have to find out. And another one of the problems is once again, I just want to take a look at this. Like, let's take a look at the Marauder, and these are buffed Marauders. Wulfric has the red line, and they're at 37-36, right? And let's compare them to a crossbowman with no skill level, who is at 31-36. So identical melee defense of a crossbowman, a unit without a shield, and who's probably not trained in melee weapons, and the 0 ranks. And, yeah, as compared... Oh, well, actually, this one probably does have ranks, in fact. But let's just compare it to this one, then, because this one has the question mark. But anyway, yeah, so 31-36, a little bit less melee attack, but not that much less. And equal melee defense to a Marauder. Now, once again, lorefully, this makes absolutely 0 sense, but even less so considering this is a missile infantry unit. And this is a Norscan who's lived all their life in incredible hardship and just fighting non-stop versus these state troops that... I don't know. It's just bizarre to me, and I'm not going to stop talking about it. But anyway, we're not going to care. We're going to go attack Grungzint, and we're going to see what that brings us and how tough this is going to be. Let's get to... Oh, wow, okay, that's exactly what I was talking about. How powerful are they? Wow, Empire Knights, 42-55. These units used to be trash, but 42-55 is quite nice. 97 charge with the current charge buffs. Yeah, it's a little bit concerning. But yeah, the crossbowmen probably bother me more than anything else. But let's see, 41-49 on the sword infantry. 46-46 on the pikes. Wait, so the pikes at 46-46 as compared to a berserker who is 56-29. So they attack nearly as well as a berserker, but have more than twice as much armor, as well as shields, and a lot more defense. Okie dokie. And then similar with you guys. Well, this is going to be interesting. Now, I know that Norscans do power up a little bit when they're in melee because of the regular Norscan Marauder stats that SFO has. It allows them to gain phases of attack. Wait, not the Berserk ones. These guys have a regular version. Yeah, so if they're in melee for 1 minute and 30 seconds, if they survive that long. But anyway, let's try this. Let's see if we can't have Wulfric's army survive, shall we? Just double check that all the banners are where they should be, and it looks like they are. What will we have to work with? Damn, it's a lot of crossbows. And this is exactly why the doggos in the last episode weren't able to kill all the enemy crossbows. The crossbows are too tough, and the doggos should be ideal at killing them, but they do way too much damage in melee and stuff to make up for it, which is kind of ridiculous. So we'll have to try to make the best of our skinwolves and our chariots to do that. And on the other hand, we'll probably have to send our skinwolves to kill the knights, because nobody else is really gonna do that for us, are they? And the skinwolves are quite adept at it. Alright, that's fine. We'll deal with it. Well, let's get to it, Wulfric. Alright, here we go. A pretty big battle for Wulfric with fairly even lines, and we are outnumbered by the enemy this time. They do have quite a few range units. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 individual units of crossbows, and I believe I saw a militia unit in here as well, plus they have cav units. So a pretty good spread from the enemy forces, and that's on top of the fact that they are fairly obnoxious in their strength for very, very basic Empire troops. Although, with regards to that, I just want to reiterate, I'm not really complaining about it. I actually enjoy the fact that it adds some difficulty to it, because once again, it does make these battles a hell of a lot of fun. It's unfortunate from a lore perspective. It just doesn't make sense to me that an individual Norscan, or even a unit of Norscans, would be so much weaker than basic state troops. Because, lorefully, probably not the case. But anyway, that's fine. We are certainly going to make our lack of numbers not matter, and we're going to destroy these guys. Now Wulfric's running around here, trying to challenge them, yelling insults as he likes to do, trying to get their lord to come out and fight him, but the enemy lord's not going to do that. But that's okay. One of the main reasons to be here is to do as much damage with Wulfric's boat attack as possible. We do pretty good. Let's see, 25% HP remaining on these crossbowmen, and about 40% remaining on this one. Nice bloody line in the snow, so the first blood goes to Wulfric, and here we go. The battle lines are now approaching each other. Now, unfortunately, since the enemy does outnumber us, we are going to have to partially use our Berserkers as a front line. Not completely, as some of them will be able to go around, but not all of them. Over here on the side in particular, one of the benefits of the enemy kind of reacting to our speedy units back here is they appear to be investing a lot of troops. Like, there's a halberdier unit, a spear unit, and a swordsman unit all the way over here, and another spearman unit. They're basically just standing there, protecting their range from our speedy units. Granted, we only have 3 of those, but they can reposition really quick, and the enemy are investing a lot more resources to keeping them back than we are to attacking them. Plus, this prevents the enemy from making a nice front line, whereas we have a relatively nice middle host here. Plus, this will also allow us to do a little bit more flanking than it otherwise would if they had simply attacked us with all of these melee units, as they probably should have. But hey, bad for them, good for us. Alright, so now the enemy are moving in with their knights, who are fairly powerful, surprisingly. That shocks me the most. I just remember how garbage these units were in vanilla. I was about to say militia for some reason. Militia over here. Okay, they're going to charge the Berserker, so it's a chargey unit versus a chargey unit. Of course, not a frontline unit, but hey. And hey, I don't know why these guys moved away like that. They really should have just directly charged the Berserkers instead of negating their own bonuses there. Not that I'm going to complain about that. So let's see. On the charge, they don't appear to have taken much damage. And it looks like they're going to get some help from an Empire hero. I do try to finally get Wulfric in to get a duel going. He does take a little bit of damage from some crossbows, but he doesn't really care about that. He's pretty damn heavily armored and shielded. So let's see what he can do here and how quickly he can actually dish out some damage. So the first hit really does nothing, whereas Wulfric takes quite a bit of damage and tries to even it out. But unfortunately, the enemy reacts instantly with a bunch of units. I think one of the unfortunate bits about Wulfric is he doesn't appear to have good mass. He gets very, very easily stuck. I even spam the retreat button for him right here constantly, but he just gets immediately surrounded. He can't break through a single line, which is quite unfortunate for a champion blessed / cursed by the gods. But anyway, on the bright side, because these guys moved away, Wulfric sort of distracted them, allowing the Marauder Ice Wolf chariots to move through the gap of units left here and start going to town on the rest of these crossbowmen units. We also have the Maws of Savagery, our Skinwolf Armored Special unit, Regiment of Renown, going up against the Empire Knights here. And this is a pretty, once again, damn good matchup for us. And I gotta say, the Armored Skinwolf is a really cool looking unit. Great matchup. These guys, despite their pretty insane stats, are not going to not going to get much of a purchase here. They're just going to get wrecked, unless they run away and get somebody like these pikemen or militia or somebody to help them out. We also are winning over here where the enemy just didn't have enough units on the flank, so they surrounded the enemies by the berserkers and by the spearmen and regular marauders, and are able to crush that flank. We also have our support units here. Unfortunately, they can really only target the crossbowmen right now. I was hoping to use them more to kill the knights, but since the knights are on the flanks and very, very far away, we can't really target them. I actually did try to target them with these Marauder Hunters javelins. They do a little bit of damage, but I think more so came out of the fact that they immediately got charged by the Beasts of Tashanar and the Norscan Warhounds, and then they start taking even more damage to both them and the Berserkers, even though they do kill a bunch of these hounds. I feel like it's worth it just to keep this unit off of the field as fast as possible so that they can't react to our own faster units and then allow our faster units to kill those damn pesky range units. So there we go. This particular unit of knights is just about done for. A little bit under half HP, actually a lot under half HP, but a little bit over half the model count, so that's pretty good. Wulfric routes, having taken a lot of damage, having gotten stuck in these halberdiers, but once again, that was kind of worth it as he did allow our range units to start destroying these halberdiers. A few volleys in, and these amazing Marauder Hunters with javelins clean house. Once again, I'm just always amazed at how good this particular unit is. It's quickly becoming one of my more favorite early game units. Very, very nice. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're no dark shards, but they're still pretty damn great, especially for the cost. They're very, very cheap. Whereas dark shards are fairly expensive. There we go. That halberdier unit got basically instantly routed after routing Wulfric. Wulfric, of course, won't wander off the battlefield. He will come back, and we will be able to get another cast off of Sea Fang to try to do some more damage. The chariot is still trying to run around, trying to damage the enemy crossbowmen. Actually not doing that great. Getting a few kills here and there, but mostly just keeping them from firing, which I suppose is laudable in and of itself. But I feel like I'd rather have more skinwolves in this army than chariots, which is probably what's going to happen because, after all, the Ever Chariot is coming, and he's going to have a ton of the chariots. And as I said, the enemy did move up the pikemen to try to get rid of these skinwolves, and they do a lot more damage than the knights here. The knights consequently charging the Marauder Berserkers instead, which is a much better matchup for them. At least on a charge, they should try to get out of there before they start taking an insane amount of damage and buffing the Berserkers up as they get into their rage. This is a pretty good positioning by the AI, though, I gotta admit, even if it is accidental. They are getting volleys from their militia off into our Berserkers, mostly on the flank here, but still pretty damn good. This is not something I would expect from the AI, so that's why I say that this is an accident. But okay, we're still doing generally pretty good. The enemies are suffering a lot of casualties. Several of their units are broken, and I am trying to do my best to try to get units to chase the units that are dead off the field, make them all shatter before retreating and attacking another unit, simply because we can't really deal with any more units coming back, especially with Wulfric as hurt as he is. We are always now in danger of the enemy lords trying to chase him down on their horses, and I believe at least one of them has a mount, and if that happens, Wulfric will probably die, and in that situation, the entire army will probably rout. Actually, maybe they don't have... Oh, okay, this guy has... The Empire Captain over here has a mount, but he's not really doing anything with it. Yeah, we also need to try to continue killing all of these range units. Of course, you can see how they're still milling around here, mostly being annoyed by the chariot, but the rest of our units, I feel like, are a little bit too busy. With the Maws of Savagery busy over here, I do keep trying to make them run around, try to get rid of this Free Company militia, or at the very least stop it from killing these poor Berserkers. And there we go, get them running in here while being chased by those filthy pikemen. And then as soon as these guys are away, we can at least charge those knights again to get this good matchup going. Get a nice jump by the Skinwolf. I'm actually curious how many units that hits. Looks like, what, 2 or 3? That's mostly it running. Damn, I couldn't actually see how many units got hit by the actual hit. Oh, it looks like that one hit 3. Okay, so they do have a small AoE. I was just curious about that. Alright, so that's going pretty good. We got another use out of Sea Fang here, and it does a decent amount of damage, causing this swordsman unit, I believe, to rout. Even though it did do a little bit of damage to our own units, but that's alright. Yeah, you guys flee. You guys flee. So here in the center, we're once again doing pretty decently. Wulfric is actually back into the fight trying to annoy the swordsman here, but he does take a bit of damage very, very quickly. I feel like I probably should have just cycle charged with him a few times to try to cripple their morale, but he did need to help these guys out. Not that the Iceworn Marauders were taking too much damage. They have an insane amount of armor, being pseudo-chosen as they are. But nonetheless, I felt like that particular portion of the battle needed help since two of our units decided to rout. One of our Marauder Berserkers, the one that was in the center here, was being attacked by these two units and got basically obliterated. And the same thing with the Marauders over here, who actually still have a high model count, or relatively high model count, despite having dropped so low. So that'll certainly help next turn or whenever we can regenerate our troops. Now, we still are using our Marauder Hunters with Javelins over here to try to damage these units. Fortunately, being the Halberdiers, at least, are easy to kill since they don't have shields. These guys got tied up by the enemy Grandmaster, so we are trying to move them away to sort of flank these guys and then throw those javelins into their backs while the Marauder Spearmen deal with the Grandmaster themselves. So you stop that, buddy. Stop that. That's a lot of AoE, huh? Okay, so let's see. What else are we looking at? We have another swordsman unit that's about to rout. We're looking pretty good in terms of the range units now because another one of them routed. This one's about to get charged by the crossbows, and the doggos are finally in as well since they're no longer busy with the knights, and they can deal with that. Our other two Marauder Hunters with javelins are going to be chucking their javelins at the range units as well, who do not survive that. It does seem like the Marauder Hunters are better than the doggos at killing range units, ironically enough, just because these guys are weaker to taking range damage than they are to taking melee damage, ironically enough. Probably shouldn't be that way, but whatever. If it works, it works. And yeah, chariots again here, I probably do get distracted occasionally instead of cycle charging. Oh, there we go. They stayed in there a little bit too long, but it's okay. They distracted them long enough and did allow our Marauder Hunters with Javelins to move up so that they can get a couple volleys in here, which these guys are not going to survive. They get the kills so much faster. Honestly, sometimes the, well, Wulfric's army in particular, not really so much Throgg's army because they have the trolls. It feels like just using most of the rest of the army to try to position the Marauder Hunters with Javelins to actually dish out the damage, because even the Berserkers don't really approach the kind of damage that these guys can do, it seems. Or at least not the kind of model kill count that they do. But hey, the Berserkers actually did reasonably well in this particular battle. Wulfric is very, very close to dying over here now in his little duel with the Empire Captain, but mostly I think because of the Empire Swordsman that were helping him out. But fortunately, now Wulfric has the help of the Marauders here, so he should be just fine. There we go. And this guy should be done. I mean, this battle is now just about over. We have the Brutes of the Hand. You know what? I don't believe I watched them fight yet, so let's take a quick look at that. They're fighting some pikemen over here. And, okay, it looks like the entire enemy force is going to rout, but that's fine. We don't actually need to chase them because this is a settlement battle. We did take a fair few casualties, as you guys saw. Those two units routed, and a few other units got very, very heavily damaged. Fortunately, all 5 of our range units are still alive, so if push comes to shove and we get attacked again, we still can bring those guys. Plus, our Berserkers are about half and half. Half are okay in HP, and then half are damaged. And then we still have basically all models on our Skin Wolves, so those guys will still be ringers if we need them next turn. So I'm hoping that we can survive another attack. Ooh, all right. The Empire units, they may be a little bit obnoxiously overpowered, but you know what? Damn it if it doesn't make for some damn fine battles in this particular campaign. I've been really enjoying these fights as they're a little bit more tougher than I would expect from an early portion of the campaign. That's always a lovely change. So, you know, you gotta take the bad with the good. So we are going to sack this place for the cash. 7K, yeah, that's fine. It's fine. Then we have to back off and let's see if we can't make Wulfric survive. Now, we can go back into our own territory. We won't be raiding this time, and it'll just really depend on if this army will attack us, and I do expect them to. The question is, will we be able to move back, and do they have another, like, full stack right here that could march stance all the way to Wulfric? Because he won't be able to defend against two armies. I feel like the biggest disappointment for me with regards to the Norsca campaign so far has been Wulfric himself. He's quite weak. He's very, very fragile despite the stats that he has on paper, and he's not particularly good at killing the enemy lords, especially when he's in a press like he was in that particular battle. I think what he really needs is his War Mammoth. He's probably not going to be so good until he gets it, which is fine. Let's see, Fervent Creatures. I did want to get that to upgrade our Skinwolves, but do we get more out of that for our single Skinwolf unit, or the... or an extra 5%? You know what, this buffs every single Marauder we have, so we should probably start with this, then we'll get that Skinwolf upgrade after that. And honestly, he just really needs some mammoths. But yeah, it's less so Wulfric's army, but his own personal performance that I find a little bit off. Just because he is really decent on paper, and I get that he's a duelist. He's not supposed to go around, or at least he's not supposed to go around in the press. He's supposed to go around dueling enemy lords, but that's really hard when they're not out alone. And then we saw him even trying to fight a one-on-one with the help of the Icehorn Marauders there, and he was still taking damage, so definitely concerning. But obviously he's nowhere near maxed out. He's only level 13, he doesn't have hard to hit yet, so his melee defense is a little bit on the low side, so it does mean he does take a lot of damage. Plus, since he's not on his Mammoth, he can't really make use of the insane amount of HP that he's going to get when he has that. So it'll improve, we just have to give it time. Anyway. So that was successful, and we got a decent amount of cash out of it. We don't actually need to upgrade anything unless I'm mistaken. Well, let's upgrade that. But other than that, we're not really building anything. We're just trying to make a nest egg of enough money so that we can get Surtha Ek on the field. In addition to that, we do have our heroes slowly approaching, and I know that there were a bunch of great name suggestions. I love the little stories and stuff like that. That means some of these names have got to be put in. But I'll put them in when they join the army. I guess... I mean, generally I like to wait for units to distinguish themselves in battle. But maybe that doesn't have to be the same for heroes. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. Definitely true for units, and I'm obviously willing to make exceptions. Other than that, I don't believe there's anything else that needs to be done this turn. There's a hero who hasn't been moved. Oh, right, Mr. Frisky. Mr. Frisky, you can move over here. I want to see whether there's another Marienburg army that's about to attack Wulfric, and if there is, well, there's not really anything we can do about it, but I would still like to know. And, oh... I don't... What are you doing, Kemmler? I don't want you to sack these places because we want to sack those places. Hopefully he doesn't siege Marienburg. They're not at war right now. He can feel free to keep taking Bretonnia. I really, really don't give a damn. He's welcome to all these useless provinces. Let's see, Horde upgrade available. Oh, we could just sit here and upgrade the Horde. You know what? We could go into Wulfric's encampment stand, so even if they do get attacked, he's a little bit more powerful due to the melee attack and leadership. And then I guess since we do have the cash, we might as well upgrade a couple of these things. So what do we have here? We have Marauder Longship, which gets us Marauder Berserker recruitment. We're probably going to lose some Marauder Berserkers in the near future, so we might as well. Yeah, you know what? Just upgrade all his stuff. There you go. That's all we got. We don't have any more growth remaining. We should get another growth building in here. Doesn't one of these increase growth? Experience and campaign movement range. Oh, none of these give growth? Okay, it must be something else then. I swear something is supposed to give growth. Huh, or does he just gain 10 straight up, or... raiding party is the only thing that gives growth? Well, that's a shame. So his horde is not going to speed up at all. In terms of growth. Ooh, I like the recruitment capacity. That's going to help as well. Faction-wide settlement sacking buff. That is also really quite nice. That one I can't wait to upgrade. Lovely. Okay, let's end the turn. And let's see if Throgg can take Wrecker's Point and sack that as well. United against us, Illyrian. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, wow. Cult of Pleasure appears to have lost all their armies now. just judging by the balance of power, and not seeing any Empire armies. Hopefully they're not moving all their armies up to Middenheim. We need to check how many... Oh, here we go, here we go. Okay, so this we expected. Now the question is, will they still be able to attack us if we back off? I mean, there's a decent chance that we could win this, but we'd probably take a lot of hurt, wouldn't we? The problem here is that Wulfric is very, very badly damaged, and a lot of our melee units are damaged. And the enemy don't have a lot of melee units themselves. But I fear that we don't have enough melee units are either just to hold the line. On the other hand, if we manage to destroy this army here, that would be really good for us. The problem is, if Wulfric's unable to fight and the enemy lords just chase him down, he's basically going to have to spend the entire time running away. Oh man, it's a hard decision. But we might not get a better opportunity to destroy another army. Man, 50-43. 50-43 on a pikeman. Okay, well, that's better than a marauder. 53-40 on this one. 58-35. Wait. Marauder Spearmen have really low melee. Oh, well, I guess they're anti-large spears. Kind of interesting that a Marauder Spearman unit is a very low melee defense as opposed to the pikemen, which are fairly high melee defense, despite the fact that they have the exact same stats. But I suppose they're sort of meant to be different kinds of units. Sort of-ish. But I feel like we gotta fight this. I'm obviously gonna have to make a cut here because the last battle was a cinematic battle, so we have no choice. So here it is. There we are, and let's get to it. I do imagine this battle is going to be particularly tough because two of our units are useless, and Wulfric is quite useless as well. But I'm decently confident that we can pull it off, even if it does cost us a few of these units. We can always rebuild them since we have both Wulfric's recruitment, and I believe we can recruit... Berserkers maybe at Kurun, but maybe not. We'll find out in a sec. Alrighty, here we go, round 2 with Marienburg, and this time with a fairly hurt army against a, once again, fairly elite army well, rather elite-ranked army, judging by the fact that they're all level, rank 7-ish, and they are quite a bit more buffed up than we are. But this time, we are not outnumbered by the enemy, which means the player has an absolute advantage, because the AI is not so good at dealing with being a flank and all that sort of stuff, and does not position itself nearly as well as it probably should. CA, get on it. So let's get to it. Now, the enemy is attacking us, so we probably could have actually backed off and fought in these hills here and forced them to attack us, but I did move forward mostly because I forgot about the fact that we weren't the ones attacking, because it's rather unusual thus far. We do have our ringers as the Icehorn Marauders here, or the pseudo-chosen as I like to call them, or pseudo-chaos warriors, and they are sort of the tip of the spear here, gonna be in the center, and they're going to take the brunt of the damage from all the enemy range fire, which is just fine. They're very, very heavily armored, they have their shields, and they are our most healthy unit, so that is the best use of them. In the meantime, we are going to go around with all of our quick units to try to do the exact same thing we did last time, but this time, the enemy will not have all of those extra units, all those extra melee units to protect their crossbowmen. We do have to keep one of our berserkers out of the fray completely because they're too damaged, but that shouldn't matter as we have enough units to still be able to surround the enemy forces and actually flank with our berserkers. Yeah, you can see the Icehorn Marauders, they've been taking crossbow damage this entire time, as well as probably going to start taking a few volleys from the Free Company Militia here. But they're doing real swell. You can even see that most of the damage they've actually taken is damage from the last battle, not even this one. So they're in a good place. And now over here, I did try to get the chariots to run around, but the AI constantly countercharged with these Empire Knights and actually tried to chase down the chariots. A really good use of the Knights by the AI, which are very good at killing chariots. And I do immediately try to move those guys out of the way. I'd much rather have the Berserkers and the Spears fight the Knights over here and try try to get the chariots sort of going around and then through, and then just to try to focus these guys down. We also have our Maws of Savagery, the Skinwolves running around. I was originally planning to get them to fight the Empire Knights, but unfortunately I bet wrong. I was hoping that they spawn on this side, and they did not, but that's okay. These guys can deal with the Knights, even if the matchup isn't going to be as good as with the Skinwolves. So here we go, main battle time. We are also not going to get stopped in the center here, which means the Berserker, or not the Berserkers, the remnants of our troops are going to be able to sort of move through and also menace the enemy crossbowmen, which is quite lovely. We haven't gotten a lot of that. And now take a look at this poor warrior priest over here, sort of charging into the Marauder Hunters with javelins, immediately taking nearly half HP damage just from a couple volleys, which is exactly what we want. Over here on the side, we have a pikeman unit trying to deal with the Brutes of the Hound. I don't imagine this is going to go too well for the pikemen, even if they are a little bit stronger than they should be. We also have the Sea Fang going in and damaging our first unit of enemy crossbowmen quite effectively. The Sea Fang basically kills this unit and forces it to rout. The warrior priest is trying to stop our charge into the enemy crossbows over here, but not going to be very effective, as we can just run past him and he's a single unit. And our front-lining berserkers are going to get mowed down by the Free Company militia, but they should run just a little bit faster than the enemy melee troops or the enemy range troops, so they should catch them. And even if they can't kill them so well, just because it's a poor matchup, because we're not nearly as upgraded as the Empire State troops, it's still beneficial in just stopping them from doing anything, especially as we now have the Doggos, the Beast of Tashnar, doing this and damaging those guys after they took a barrage of a Norscan Spear barrage, plus we also have the Marauder Hunter Chariots, or Marauder Ice Wolf Chariots, rather. Hunter Chariots would have been swell, but we'd need a lot more of them for their range to tell if those were the kind of chariots we were using. Maws of Savagery, moving around through the woods. I actually wonder, do the Skinwolves have the... there's a stat that allows you to ignore wooded penalties. I do wonder if they have that or not, because they're like a mutated northern wolf, but do they actually live in forests? Oh, wow. Oh, I gotta love the bowling though, man. The freaking Weirkin have, not the Weirkin, the Skinwolves have so much more mass than I expect them to. They move so many more units. They're like they almost have more mass than some Knights units, which is kind of interesting. I gotta remember that when it comes time to break up formations with these guys. Seems fairly useful. Look at all these Free Company militia firing in melee as well, though. I love the graphics effect there, the smoke and all that stuff. Very nice. Very nice. And look at those Marauder Hunter javelins. They actually bring down that warrior priest without him being able to do anything. Gotta love these units. I've been singing their praises this entire campaign, and I doubt I'm gonna stop until they're removed from all armies and replaced by the Norscan Whalers, who I'm then going to sing the praises of instead, most likely. Unless they're for some reason a lot less effective. Now we do have our chariot finally bringing down this crossbowman unit, so that's great. We also have our Maws of Savagery chasing around these crossbowmen, and our Doggos chasing around these pikemen just to prevent them from coming back, and also just to try to kill the unit. After all, this is not a settlement battle, so the more enemies we kill now, the more benefit we will receive as we go on. The Knights are probably doing the best of all the enemy units here. Just because they were only fighting the Berserkers, I couldn't quite catch them with the spears because they got distracted by this other spearman unit, and therefore they weren't able to do so. What I probably should have done was move these hunters with javelins out and just to kill those Knights, but they were a little bit busy since they were able to hit the spearmen in the back here. So that made this unit rout very, very fast. So he sort of had to choose one, and the fact is they were closer to the spears than they were to the Berserkers, so these guys are going to take a little bit more damage. The enemy are still fighting in the center over here, and I believe that's really the only place where there's any kind of possibility of a loss, because over here they mostly have their range units, and they're just not going to win against the Skinwolves and the Chariots and all that good stuff. Over here, obviously, our Berserkers are doubling up, and they are going to defeat the Pikemen. These ones did take quite a bit of damage, the Beast of the Hound, perhaps surprisingly. I mean, they were damaged to start off, but they took a lot of damage. And this is a regiment of renowned Berserker unit who really should be countering a non-shielded anti-large pikeman unit. But as we saw earlier, these guys have Very, very nice attack and defense, so perhaps not surprising. You probably hear my cat meowing in the background as well. And if you hear my doggo barking, well, it's a zoo today. So there we go. These guys are finally routing, and now it's just going to be the center flank and the range units who are being slowly cleaned up. I also tried to charge Wulfric in briefly, but I got a little bit worried because he's so damaged, and I don't want to risk any extra damage to our morale from having him rout again, or having him die, or get wounded rather, since he's immortal. Once again, the Marauder Hunters of Javelins helping out with the flank. They're just helping out everywhere, aren't they? And look, they're mowing down this Empire Captain as well. Man, those units are useful. And once again, I'm loving these fights against the Empire. Absolutely loving them. Just because they're so tough, it actually... like, fighting with something like the Lizardmen when you're using just Saurus and dinos, it can be really, really boring because you're not really afraid of anything. You just charge in and you know you're going to win. It doesn't really matter what you do. I mean, it's obviously a lot more fun. Like in my Gorok campaign, I had Tehenowin's army with basically nothing but red-crested skinks, and that was a lot of fun. And same with the chameleon skinks. Just feels a lot more enjoyable to fight tactical battles with those kinds of units. But anyway, there we go. This army has routed, and we actually managed to pull it off despite being hurt and not actually taking a lot of damage. This really goes to show you how much value the fact that you have... that you're not able to, yes, I know, talking to my cat, surround the enemy units, because when we fought last time and we couldn't bring our Berserkers to do any flanking, we couldn't really properly position the Marauder Hunters with Javelins either. They weren't really able to do anything comparable to the damage that they did here. Plus, they were distracted by all the extra units, of course. Whereas here, despite the fact that we technically should have had a fairly tough time on paper, because the AI isn't so good tactically, we just had a much, much easier time of it. And it's probably still going to be a close victory, but it's really not as close considering how hurt we were, and we probably didn't take an insane amount of casualties. Plus, we remain in our own territory, which means we will heal up. But there we go. That should be the end of this. We are just going to chase down a couple more units because, once again, this is not a settlement battle. Enemy Lord is a fallen. Wulfric finally being able to do something, chasing somebody who's routing and, you know, stabbing him in the back. Perhaps a bit of an ignominious end for this episode, or for Wulfric's reputation at least, as he wasn't able to do a proper duel, so the gods will probably not appreciate it, or at least Khorne won't appreciate it. Everybody else might be okay with it. So 3 out of 4 is not bad. Anyway, there we go. Close victory, as I said. Ooh, alright, another fairly tough battle, and a really, really fun one. And I know that these are some basic unit battles with original starting low-tier units, but I'm gonna miss these when they're gone. When we have hyper-elite units with mammoths and all that craziness and Marauder champions and stuff, I'm gonna miss the crazy nail-biting stuff, where it feels like if we do something wrong and screw up, that it's gonna go very, very badly, because later on it feels like your armies get so elite and the AI doesn't stand a chance. It's not sometimes as fun, but hey, that's just me. Maybe you guys feel differently, or maybe you too will miss these when they're gone. Either way, I think the variety is nice. Speaking of variety, I'm really glad that Wulfric is getting some time to shine in this particular campaign. This has been a very, very, this has been an entirely Wulfric heavy episode, and I'm glad of that. It may be Throgg's campaign, but his favorite little minion, or one of his favorite little minions, should get their own chance to be in the spotlight. Anyway, let's see. We are going to sacrifice these captives, I guess. I mean, I guess we could also... We haven't really killed captives with Wulfric yet, have we? Honestly, 1,400 is not all that much, although we could use it to give some gifts to the Dark Elves, just to try to get Hargonnet to like us enough to trade with us. It's the trade that I really, really want, because that'll give us a lot more income that we could then use to, as I said, fund Sirtha Ek. On the other hand, we're getting 2k per turn, and if we attack with Wulfric in a couple turns again, we might need the cash. Or we might need the strength, rather. Yeah, just go kill captives for now. There we go. So there's the loss from Marienburg. They really shouldn't have attacked Wulfric. I was expecting that to go a little bit worse for us than it did, so I'm happy it worked out quite well. We actually could destroy this army outright here, probably with an auto-resolve, but you never know. On top of that, we ended that turn in Wulfric camp in our own territory, so we're very close to being able to attack. In fact, if we really wanted to, we could attack Marienburg. The question is, how do we do that? Oh, this is going to have to... I mean, we're going to run out of time, but I feel like next episode, we might be able to take Marienburg. Might even not sack it. It is level 4. So that means if we take it at level 3, does Norsca keep the Marienburg Harbor? That's what I'd really like to know. I don't know whether they're able to or not. But they might. Most factions do appear to keep the harbor stuff, and I vaguely recall the original in vanilla when I played Wulfric. I'm pretty sure you kept the harbor at Erengrad, so I don't see why you wouldn't keep the harbor at Marienburg, which is quite interesting. And yeah, that's 20k less than sacking it. Now, we'll probably sack it then take it anyway. Because we do have quite a bit of money, but we can always... I did say I want Surthak on the field, plus we gotta get those monster hunts and all that stuff going. So, we will have to leave that till next time because we are most definitely out of time this time. Looks like next time will probably be another Wulfric heavy episode, as we're going to probably try to attack Henry Becker and then siege Marienburg. Now, if they attack us... They do have a fairly decent army. We are a little bit healed up. Our front line is still very badly damaged here, of course. But if they don't have any more armies, which, judging by the balance of power, they might have one other army somewhere. Question is, where is it? If it's all the way over here, it might stay there to try to deal with Throgg, which would be ideal. If we are able to siege Marienburg for a few turns, what's the number of turns until they surrender? Because we can't assault the walls with this. But if we can force them into attacking us in the field, that will be pretty amazing. It doesn't say here. But anyway, we'll try to figure that out next time. Hopefully, Wulfric will be able to deal with Marienburg. I'll do the building stuff and the point assigning between the episodes as well. And we will come back for more fights. So with that said, as always, I do appreciate any and all feedback with regards to the gameplay or the way I do things on this channel. If you have a second, please do take it to leave a like and or a comment to support the channel. It really, really does help. As always, all glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.